Hello rappers, this is Jepton and today I'll be reviewing Joker, so let's get into it. Okay, now let me start off with saying this movie is amazing. From the cinematography to the writing to the acting, Joaquin Phoenix is really good with this movie. This movie, in my opinion, who knows what else is gonna come this year, but this is the best movie of the year. It like Endgame is nothing. It's nothing compared to this movie, and it's a shame that Endgame is a movie that gets higher ratings than Joker. And yeah, let's start with this review. Okay, so let me start off with the writing. So when talking about Joker and trying to write Joker, you'll have to deal with a realistic interpretation. We all know that this is a realistic interpretation of the Joker. There's no Batman or whatever, and there's no kind of mythical stuff. And it's also hard to think about how a crazy and fictional character can turn, how to do a realistic interpretation on such a crazy and mythical character. So of course we're gonna scrap the idea that he turns into the Joker by jumping into a batch of chemicals in the Ace Chemicals factory, and so that is out of the place. But when dealing with his laughter and his crazy laughter, I found it very smart to have Joker have this psychological problem where he laughs at points where he shouldn't be laughing. Now, I heard that this is an actual psychological problem. I haven't done any research on it, but if it is real, it is even if it's not real, it is a very smart way to explain the condition of the Joker. It's such a smart idea, and I mean, it opened up for a lot of crazy moments. For example, I have my favorite scene of mine before Joker, one of, I think, not really sure what I would rank, but one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Joker goes over to Arkham Asylum and he asks for his mom's case file, and when he discovers that he's adopted and he starts reading about how he got abused and how his mother didn't take care of him and how he went through a lot of mental and psychological stuff as a kid, and while he's reading that, he's laughing through the whole thing. And so it opens for a creepy and yet thrilling, very thrilling and fast-paced. I mean, he's laughing and reading over it, and snot is coming out of his nose. And the creepy thing about it is that from Joaquin Phoenix laugh, you start to you feel a bit like you want to laugh with him, but because you know that he's reading about him being actually adopted, his mom not telling him that he's adopted, and the fact that he got a lot of problems from his mother's boyfriends throughout the years, you feel bad, but it's also you can't control it. It's just you're kinda having the same psychological problem as Joker, which is crazy to think about, that a movie can make you achieve something like that psychologically, and that is a really smart thing to do. And an example of and it's a shame that a movie that can do this got in the range of 60s in Rotten Tomatoes, and Avengers Endgame got a near perfect rating. So it tells us a lot about how culture has changed. And I'm not saying that your ordinary comic book movies, I'm not being like Martin Scorsese and trying to discriminate comic book movies without actually seeing them, but the fact that the days of having movies that can achieve small stuff like this is not really cared about compared to big comic book movies that do try to tell stories that were never told in a big screen in a live action interpretation, a live action genre. Now, the reason on why people are giving this movie, I think, in my opinion, giving this movie a low rating in Rotten Tomatoes is because Joker shows up in the last 20 or 30 minutes, and they expected Joker to be throughout the whole movie, like what Heath Ledger was. He showed up in the beginning of the movie, and that is actually like solely because misunderstanding what this movie actually is. Everyone knows that this movie is not a comic book, like it is a comic book movie, but it's not your ordinary comic book movie. But what people really needed to know is that this is a character study. So throughout the movie, you're not gonna get Joker, and that is because you're going to see the whole movie is really just the tragedy of Joaquin Phoenix. It's his whole life is bad, and they show you his tragic life, and that is really because it's a character study. It's trying to show you how people, and nowadays, and even if it was set back before our time, it is still because of our modern capitalist society, and it's trying to show how a person can turn, a realistic person in real life can turn into the Joker. And when I finished watching the movie, came out of the theater, I had something like hit me, which was that in this movie they don't show you how Arthur Fleck turned into the Joker. It's not like a bucket list that you need to hit to turn into the Joker. It's how society turned a man like Arthur Fleck into the Joker. So technically, a lot of people nowadays are like, the difference between a terrorist or a school shooter and Joker is the clown makeup. That's the only difference. When a school shooter does the horrendous stuff he does it because while doing it, he thinks what he does is justifiable. Just like how Joker shot Mary. Sorry for misspelling his name. Robert De Niro's character. He shoots him because he thinks what he did and what he's gonna do is justifiable because no one would care about him if he was dead. The same thing a terrorist or a school shooter would think about when they're doing the horrendous stuff they're doing. They think that the thing they're doing is justifiable. A terrorist or a school shooter turns into a terrorist or a school shooter because of what they go through their day-to-day lives, and that is because of the society that we live in. And it's like yeah, Joker is a terrorist. They're showing us how a person, how a terrorist comes to be a terrorist by using a well-known character as the Joker, and that is really hard to do. Like, not a lot of people realize that this movie is solely about just a terrorist. It's not really about the Joker, but they're using the Joker to tell the story. It's kind of like, it shows you how in-depth and how much time they've gone to writing this story. Although it sounds simple as I'm saying it, like how society turned a terrorist into a terrorist. But to do it with, like, it's not like Joker had to see his parents die, which Batman went through, or it's not like Joker had gotten like a very, very, very horrendous thing. It was like step by step. First he lost his job, which was very minimal, and then second he shot 2 people, which was a big thing. And then he discovered Thomas Wayne is his father, but he thinks that Thomas Wayne doesn't really want him, so that is a small thing. It's just like one big thing, and then one big situation, one big problem, and then small ones after, and then a big situation, a big problem, then small ones after. And so it's like things that, so it's like a person who you realize needs help, but when they don't get the help they need, which was how Joker didn't get the therapist, a good therapist that he actually needed, after the horrendous thing, okay, he didn't get the help he needed, and so small things after went by, like one by one, which looked really minimal to the people outside. Like Alfred didn't really care that that Thomas Wayne might actually be his father, or that Arthur Fleck is going to search for Thomas Wayne because he thinks he's. Alfred didn't care about that, and so he didn't know that Arthur went through a horrendous thing like killing these Wall Street kids in the train station. He didn't know that, and he didn't care. And so when a person like that in real life goes through a horrendous thing, and then minimal stuff happens to him one by one without anyone noticing or caring, they could turn to a character like the Joker. And yeah, I mean, the writing is so in depth that it tries to tell a metaphorical story that is actually, like, a lot of people say that, oh, metaphors in a story are usually right in front of your face, but they're not really all the time. But this movie is like, its main point is that, but not a lot of people see it as that. So you could take it how you want it. Maybe people would think it's just a bad comic book movie, which is how a lot of people are taking it. Maybe some people will take it as they're justifying violence. Which is also what a lot of people are taking it as if it's justifying violence, which is such a bad thing to think about. I mean, how about John Wick? Is it justifying violence? How about, I mean, a lot of people cheer for John Wick. Do you see any person getting inspired by John Wick and doing gun fu or whatever? You don't see that. And so you could take it on however you wanted. Even if you like comic books, not a lot of people would like this movie because it's not your ordinary. It's solely, and it's a character study about how a terrorist can turn into terrorist using the character Joker. Now let's speak about the cinematography in this movie. Now I like how this movie is shot in an old way, where it's in an old styled way, where it seems as if it was made back when Back to the Future was made, or back when the first trilogy of Star Wars movie was made. And so it kind of takes you on a nostalgia ride, since Joker was made a long time ago, and having the character, his origin story, which was written his origin story wasn't written ages ago, but like his first appearance with his origin, and having an old styled cinematography, it kind of takes you nostalgia. And there's also some parts of the cinematography where it's haunting, especially by using this soundtrack, which is a very noticeable thing in this movie. The soundtrack is very haunting in this movie, and it goes with Joaquin Phoenix's body and what he was able to achieve. He lost a lot of weight. Of course, like we have some actors like Christian Bale, which is like crazy. I mean, but like to see the tragedy of Arthur Fleck with Joaquin Phoenix's body, the haunting poses and positions of the camera with the haunting soundtrack works all together to give you chills that you would not be expecting. Like when you're watching a horror movie, you'd expect to feel chills at certain moments because they're kind of setting it up for a jump scare, and so you're expecting to have chills. But with the Joker, it happens in moments where you're like, yeah, I've seen this before. I've seen someone point a gun to his chin. I've seen someone that is extremely thin. But by using more than one thing, by using cinematography, the acting, and all of that, it creates these moments that are memorable with you because that happen to you at moments that you don't think that they would. And that is a very brilliant way on how the cinematography was able to achieve, I mean, a lot of stuff that go into this movie. It's very interesting to think about it, how this is a character study and a psychological study on a character that lets you experience a lot of psychological stuff. Of course, you'd feel that in a movie, but like not more than a limited amount of psychological feelings, psychological problems, experiences is what they're at. You'd not experience a lot of psychological experiences during watching a certain movie, but with this movie, it had you experience a lot of stuff that went together. The writing, Joaquin Phoenix, and the cinematography all work together to make you feel you sympathize, you hate, you empathize with this character, you feel this character, you get afraid of this character, all in one movie, all in 2 hours and 2 minutes. Yeah, I mean, it is such a brilliant way what the cinematography was able to achieve, but also came because of the help of this acting and the soundtrack. There is also some good parts with the old styled shooting. I liked Robert De Niro's show and how it was shot, how it was like, yeah, you know, some parts in King of Comedy. A lot of people are gonna compare this to Taxi Driver. I feel like it kind of borrows a lot out of Taxi Driver, like a lot, which it shouldn't really have done. I mean, I know that Todd Phillips would have been inspired by Martin Scorsese, but like, kind of too much, you know. Would have liked it to be a bit different. It is, but it kind of took a lot in from the Taxi Driver. So comparing Robert De Niro's show to the King of Comedy, I liked how it was the soundtrack of Robert De Niro's show was a memorable thing. His acting, how like over the top he was, and that all went in to make you feel as if you're back at Joker's, at Arthur Fleck's time, and that went in because you'd feel that because of the cinematography, because of the tones that were hit into the camera, the positions, the again, Robert De Niro's acting. You'd feel like you're in a time where Robert De Niro's show would have been actually made. And yeah, talking about that, Gotham, which is, the movie was actually shot in New York, which is a city I'm dreaming to go to. I really want to go to New York City, and Gotham is always shown in the comics as, even in shows like Gotham, for example, which is not the best show to talk about comparing it to the Joker, because Gotham is kind of like, you know, it has its good parts, like Jerome, their Joker. I think he's really good. So yeah, in Gotham, or like in Batman comics, especially for example Batman Year One, you'd always see this interpretation of Gotham as if it's like this horrible place. And so seeing Gotham messed up and trash all over the place, and all the graffiti in the wall and all the people there, and how his psychiatrist, for example, is not the best, and how Arthur Fleck's house is. It goes in with, I mean, what they've done with Gotham is amazing. And speaking of New York, when Arthur, there's the stairs which everyone is talking about. The significance of Joker dancing on that stairs is very important. It's not a random dance scene. It's so throughout the movie you see Arthur Fleck walking up the stairs to his house after a bad day, and as he says, you know, when in the trailer he says, I thought my life was a tragedy, but now I know it's a comedy. So when he's going up the stairs after a tragic day, there is the tragedy phase, and when he dances on the stairs all happy, that is the comedy phase. And it's like he's dancing on, like, he doesn't give a shit. He's dancing on the places where he used to feel like shit, and he doesn't care anymore. He is dancing on them, literally, but yet metaphorically, because he's the fact that he always went up the stairs all sad, and he never was happy throughout his days or whenever he passed through that stairs. And to him, it might not be to us, but to him, it is a big moment to him that he gets to dance on that stairs. A good idea to show that it might be to him a big moment but not to us is how the two detectives, they were looking at Arthur Fleck dancing on the stairs, like weirdly, like what the hell is he doing? But to him, like it skips to the detectives looking like, what the hell at him. Okay, so like, what the hell is he doing? He's just dancing, weirdly dancing to no music in the background on some stairs. But to him, it's like he's imagining this song, he's wearing this makeup, he's wearing like a good suit, and he's dancing, he's smoking, he's going all over the place, he's jumping on the stairs that he used, which he went up on when he thought that his life was a tragedy. And that is really, really, really good. There's a lot of metaphorical stuff throughout the movie, and I'd like to talk about the ending, where now of course this is a spoiler review, so like if you're still watching this, you got a lot spoiled on you. But anyways, I'd like to speak at the ending. I like the idea that Joker didn't get to be Joker, that Joker is he's imagining all of this, because in the end of the movie he talks with a therapist. He's like, I don't think you're really gonna understand it, and then he sings the Robert De Niro song, and so that is straight after Joker gets his big moment and everyone is cheering for him. And I think I'd like to think of it as if it's all in his mind that he didn't get to be the Joker. And there is a theory by some YouTube channel called Rockstar or something, I think so. I'm probably gonna show their thumbnail of the video, but they talked about how they think they supported the idea the whole movie might be inside his head, which is when he was in the psychiatrist, it skipped into this moment where he bumped his head onto this area full of white, which is the same area he was in the end of the movie. And when the psychiatrist says they're gonna cut her salary, Joker cuts the psychiatrist in the end of the movie, That's why he walks with bloody feet, bloody shoes. Or I don't think he was wearing shoes, but like they cut her salary, he cut her, he was in that, and it directly skips after that moment. It's not like, oh, some cops came over, you're under arrest or something, because cops couldn't do anything in that moment. So I'm pretty sure he wasn't caught, but it was all inside his head. And that also that can go back to how in Arkham Asylum, the boyfriend hit Arthur Fleck, and something happened to him, some big psychological problem happened to him, and so that could go back to like, that is why he's imagining all these stuff, and that's why he's finding stupid stuff like Robert De Niro's theme song funny, or that black woman telling her, "Can you stop bothering my kid?" That scene is like, a lot of memes came out of that scene. So like that could all be explained, and I like that theory. I like that all this thing is all in his head. Like, the Joker is not an actual thing. Maybe a person, like a terrorist or school shooter, would think the same kind of mentality. He would have the same kind of mentality as the Joker. They would fantasize. Usually, I've started like watching a lot of like criminal detective shows, thrillers, and a lot of them touch on how a killer usually fantasizes on their murders or their rapes. They fantasizes on how they're gonna do it, what are they gonna achieve, how is it gonna feel. They fantasize before about it before they do it. And so it can go back to like Joker, Arthur Fleck. He's not actually, he hasn't become the Joker yet, maybe, and he's inside this mental asylum, Arkham Asylum maybe, and he's just imagining, he's fantasizing about what he could be, what he would be able to do because of the tragedies he's gone through. And there's a lot of moments in the cinematography that I'd like to see, a lot of behind the scenes that I'd like to see how they achieved some moments. I'd really like to see that, and that is why I'm gonna buy the Blu-ray for the behind the scenes, any deleted scenes. I don't think there's gonna be deleted scenes, but like if there is, I'm up to watching them, of course. This movie is amazing. It's honestly, I drank it, my third favorite movie of all time. I mean, the first favorite movie of all time for me is Spider-Man 2, and then my second favorite movie of all time is Zombieland, the first one, and the third would be, it's kind of between Joker and Back to the Future 2, kind of between them, but you could, I didn't realize that. So like Back to the Future is also an old style shop movie because it was made back in the time, and Joker is also another old style, so it's a cinematography movie. So it's like kind of go into each other. It's just like, I didn't even think of that right now. So I mean, I'm gonna buy the Blu-ray for a lot of reasons, but also one of the reasons is because I want to see the behind the scenes with the cinematography, how they were able to achieve it, the writing, how the cinematography and the writing, and with Joaquin Phoenix, how they all went together to make you feel this thing. So I'm really excited to see the behind the scenes. To speak again about the cinematography, I want to touch on one last thing, which is I like when he kills these, to talk about like how haunting the cinematography is and how haunting the soundtrack is. To give a good example is when he shoots the 3 Wall Street kids, teens, whatever you want to say, persons, and runs over to the public toilet. It kind of sounds weird what I'm saying, but like when he's running, it's like there is no song when he's running to the public toilet. It's just his footsteps. Like it's dark. So I mean, like, when you see a movie like Avengers Endgames and someone dies or something, you're gonna expect like high level music, something that let you like they rely a lot on music to feel you what you to make you feel what you need to feel in that moment. No, in Joker, you'd feel that moment by just Joaquin, by just Arthur Fleck running away with no music. And now getting to the music part, when he enters the public toilet and starts dancing, I saw that part in the trailer. We've all seen it if you've seen the trailer. But it was the scene was played with the Smile music, and so and I expected it to have the same music when he's dancing, but oh my god, was I hit with some dark and crazy soundtrack. It was like, the way I could explain the soundtrack is like it's the Last of Us theme song that has each tone like extended by 1000 and played extremely slowly with Arthur Fleck covered in blood and clown makeup dancing weirdly in a public toilet after killing some people. It was, I mean, that is why I told you I don't know how to rank these scenes from best to worst. You can't really say a scene is the worst. Like, I mean, this movie, my god, but like that scene is crazy. I mean, that is a very, very, very good example how the soundtrack, the haunting soundtrack, how I describe it, like the Last of Us soundtrack, but a main theme song, the extended by 1000, the cinematography on how it was set in a weird public toilet that is dirty, and which goes back to how Gotham, like, I mean, my god, Gotham looks like shit, and that is the first movie that actually shows Gotham looking like shit. Damn. And so and how the toilet is all messed up, and how at first he was running and it was a top shot, you know, it was a top shot. Joker is shot like this small and he's like running without music. That is a very, very good way of the cinematography, and it was really dark, you know, and he was like under a tunnel. It was really scary. It's the word you could, because you'd not really think that you need to feel scared in a moment like this, but like you'd still feel it when you don't expect to feel it, because it's a minimal thing to what you usually see in a movie. Like killing 3 people is kind of meh in action movies, but like here, a lot of movies try to achieve someone's death or someone killing someone as a big thing, but they not really make you care. You're like, oh no, he died. But in this movie, they make you feel it no matter what, even if you don't want to. No, bitch, you gotta feel it, bitch. So like, I mean, damn. And the third thing is Joaquin Phoenix weirdly dancing in that toilet. Why, bro? I mean, like, yeah, he's dancing after killing 3 people in a public toilet. There's a lot of memes. It's like, oh, Joker kills 3 people, and then him 5 minutes later, he's like, so, you know, like, yeah. So these 3 things go like, and the writing, of course, they wrote that he kills these people, blah blah blah, he goes to the public toilet. So these all go together to give you such an amazing experience. Such I mean, they've accomplished a thing that is really memorable. that is, this movie is truly, because of all these four stuff: the writing, the acting, the cinematography, the soundtrack. These make this movie a movie that comes once in lifetime. Now, lastly, let's just touch on the acting. Let's touch on Joaquin Phoenix acting. Joaquin Phoenix in this movie is, let me tell you, he's amazing. He deserves an Oscar. First of all, this movie is gonna win an Oscar for either cinematography, for writing, for anything. It's gonna win an Oscar, one Oscar. Like on anything, okay? I don't know, but there's no way that the Oscars are gonna get passed with not giving Joker any kind of Oscar. And so Joaquin Phoenix can win an Oscar, and I think he really deserves it. Now, I hate that a lot of people, well, because I'm in a place, I'm not in America, I'm not in Canada, I'm not in the UK, so I'm not in a place where people really are that into movies, you know? So I hate when people are just saying that Joaquin Phoenix is gonna win an Oscar just because they're hearing it from when I was in the theater, I was, behind me were some stupid people. Now I'm not 18, but they thought I was 18, so they let me in. So thank God. Okay, but there was a couple of stupid people. Like this one guy, I don't know, I think he got inspired by how Joker keeps laughing in stupid moments. He kept laughing like loudly throughout the theater. I'm like, what the hell, just please shut up, I need to hear, you know? And so at the end of the movie, when the movie ended, he's like, I really think he deserves an Oscar. So I'm like, yo, I mean, when a person sees really good acting, they not think that this actor deserves an Oscar, like straightforward, like, oh, the end scene, like in the end of the movie, you know how like the end shows up, right? So you not see the end and then he's like, oh my god, Joaquin Phoenix deserves an Oscar, this deserves this deserves that, this was good, this was that. Like, you need, especially with a movie like The Joker, just as I said, like the realization that the society is actually what turned Joker into what he is. It's not like a bucket list. So you need to take that in before starting to think about it, what was good and what was bad. You need to take, because the writing is really, really good in this movie. And so Joaquin Phoenix, first of all, his body, really, really like crazy what he was able to achieve. I mean, he suffered a lot to not take a lot of food. That is what he said in a lot of interviews. So that was crazy. His acting, I like how he kinda, now I've seen Her, the movie Her, before Joker, just to see how Joaquin Phoenix acts, and he acts way differently. He's no longer Joaquin Phoenix. He's so different. He is so, like, he kind of feels like he's really scared all the time, but he doesn't really like to show it, but he's really scared. He's such a pussy, is the right word to say, before he turns into the Joker. And he is really weird, is the word to say. A lot of people take him, you know how in a lot of movies people take someone as weird, they keep calling him weird, but you'd actually see them from their point of view, so you'd not really think they're weird. But like in this, you actually think that Joaquin Phoenix, although you know that he has some psychological problems, he's not getting help, you think he's this weird guy. You'd like, if you see him in real life and you know that he's that weird, you'd not want to get close to him. So it's like he's no longer Joaquin Phoenix. He's really into the role that he is now. Of course, you hear that a lot from some movie reviewers or critics, that he's no longer Robert Pattinson. He's no longer Heath Ledger. He's the Joker, you know. So you'd really hear that a lot. So I mean, this time I can't. How would I say it? You know, he is. You know, you won't see a lot of, because if some people, they would be in a working class or middle class, you would not see a person that is, even for example, a terrorist or a school shooter. If you live or like have a friend that like would have turned, or like know someone that could have like had psychological problems, you'd not see them the way you see Joaquin Phoenix. You'd not feel about them how you feel about Joaquin Phoenix in this movie. You'd not get scared of them at first, but for Joaquin Phoenix, even before he turns to the Joker, even before he murders anyone, you're like, what the hell? You're like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? I mean, yeah, even although you know that he's gone all through these crazy situations. So, I mean, it is such a brilliant thing that he was able to achieve that. And, yeah. I mean, you know, Joaquin Phoenix said in an interview, he said that he didn't know this would have been his dream role, but he wants to work again with Todd Phillips, and if not, and he wants to work also again with the Joker. I would not like a sequel to the Joker. I think, because I like the theory. I like that you can take a movie whatever way you want it, and to have this theory that I have in mind where it's like he's not actually the Joker, but then show us that he's actually the Joker in the next movie, that kinda stops the like feeling that, or the idea that you can interpret the movie whatever way you want. That kinda takes it out of it. Now that I've spoken on Joaquin Phoenix's acting, let's touch on, I tried to leave this till the end. Let's touch on who's better, Heath Ledger or Joaquin Phoenix. Honestly, I've watched The Dark Knight over and over and over. You know these moments when people tell you, oh my god, this actor is really good? And you hear it a lot, that when you see the movie, you see someone's acting for the first time, you'd think what people are saying, you'd not have the opinion you'd want to have, just because you heard a lot of people say Heath Ledger is the best Joker. Oh my god. So when you see the acting, you're like, oh my god, Heath Ledger is the best actor. Now, in my opinion, the best Joker ever is Mark Hamill. Don't at me, bro. Mark Hamill is the best Joker, okay? So let's just put aside. I'm talking about live action Jokers now. Joaquin Phoenix or Heath Ledger. Now, yeah, because I've heard that Heath Ledger is the best Joker. So when I actually saw The Dark Knight for the first time, I was actually late to seeing The Dark Knight. I saw it this summer. So for seeing The Dark Knight for the first time, I did not really think he is, my god, the best Joker. I didn't really think he is. Well, I thought that, yeah, he's kinda like really good because of what I was hearing. I mean, he's not a bad Joker, not at all. He's really good. He really deserved the Oscar that he won. But I mean, I think Joaquin Phoenix is way better, because although, yeah, I mean, Heath Ledger really went into his role, like he's done method acting, where I've seen behind the scenes, he slept with his clown makeup on, he's taken drugs and stuff to get into his role, and so that is like an amazing thing. But the problem is, I wouldn't I wouldn't have really cared when seeing the movie unless I've heard from people on YouTube or behind the scenes clips that he's taken drugs, that he's done method acting. If I haven't heard that, I'm like, yeah, it's just some guy with some. He's trying to play the Joker, and yeah, I mean, a lot of people are like, oh my god, he's done method acting, he's slept with his makeup, he's really gone into his role, but that is not really shown in camera. While Joaquin Phoenix, his body is shown in camera, it works with the cinematography. His weirdly point times of dancing is shown in the cinematography, with the weird soundtrack that actually really works with with Joaquin Phoenix's acting and with his body type, really works together. The writing, the Joaquin Phoenix's story is more appealing than Joker's story. It's actually, if you think about it, they both care about the society. They both try to prove stuff about the society. Heath Ledger has the boat with the criminals and the boat with the civilians, trying to see who is gonna blow each other up about the society. And here, Joker is trying to prove to Robert De Niro's character that if he's died, no one would have cared, but because Thomas Wayne talked about these 3 Wall Street kids, that is why people cared. Just like they're both trying to show some stuff about the society. But I think because Joker, the society is his main focus, Joaquin Phoenix was able to work with that way easier, while The Dark Knight had to deal with Harvey Dent and him turning into Two-Face, the life of Jim Gordon, which I think Jim Gordon in The Dark Knight is the best Jim Gordon, but anyways, and dealing with Batman, and then you have Joker. So like dealing with all of that, although it's like they've dealt with it a lot, like really good, I think Joker is still better than the movie, and Joaquin Phoenix's acting. Like, I'd watch, if someone told me you'd either watch The Dark Knight for the rest of your life or Joker for the rest of your life, I choose Joker. And now, so yeah, this is my opinion. You know, tell me your opinion in the comments below. Tell me why you think Heath Ledger is better, or why Joaquin Phoenix is better. And yeah, I mean, this is who I think is the best actor for a live action Joker. Mark Hamill is the best Joker actor. Don't at me, bro. Now let's get into the last part of this review, the rating. This movie gets a 10 out of 10 easily. I mean, my third favorite movie of all time. And I've seen a lot of movies, bro. I've seen a lot. And to make it, like, I've just seen it. I've seen it once, and it just make it the third movie of all time. Just once. 10 out of 10. This movie is a 10 out of 10. It's a masterpiece. You know how IGN considers a 10 out of 10 movie or game a masterpiece? This movie is actually a masterpiece. It's actually art. And it is actually art. It's like a painting. You know how colors would contrast each other, complementary colors, textures and stuff. They all go together to make a perfect piece. The texture, the focus, the colors, the quality, they'd all go together to make a perfect art piece. I've taken cinematography, so I know all about that. There's a lot of factors that you need to take in to make a perfect piece of art. And so the writing, the soundtrack, the acting, the cinematography, it all was perfect to make a perfect movie. And so that is why Joker is a 10 out of 10. If you like this review, leave a like. Now, Breaking Bad is my favorite movie, show of all time. It is my #1 favorite show of all time. And so El Camino just came out. Everyone knows about that. I've seen the movie ages ago. I've seen it 4 times by now. I mean, I like Breaking Bad is amazing. And so I'm gonna review El Camino. Stay tuned for that. And if you don't know about that, just follow me on my Instagram. It's gonna be in the link in the description. I am so active there, and I'm gonna tell you when I upload the Joker review, when I have uploaded this video, so you could see it in time. When am I starting to shoot this video, or the El Camino review? So stay tuned. I mean, I have something really good planned for the El Camino review, so stay tuned. So yeah, I was cut off because my laptop charger died. But anyways, follow me on my Instagram, stay tuned for the El Camino review, and have a nice rest of the day.